All right, now for this video, we need to find the determinant of this matrix, and we call it matrix A. That's going to be the name for this matrix. So the first thing we want to do is we want to identify its dimensions. How many rows does it have? Rows. We'll put that right here. And how many columns does it have? And we'll put that number right here. So how many rows does this matrix have? It has 1, 2, 3. That's the number of rows it has. Columns go up and down, so we can count them out like this. 1, 2, 3. So this matrix has 3 columns. So this is a 3 by 3 matrix, which means it has 3 rows and 3 columns. And since the number of rows equals the number of columns, we call this a square matrix. A square matrix. Now, you can only find the determinant of a square matrix. So that's what we're going to use this for. What I want to do is I want to find the determinant of this matrix. The first thing that I do is I circle the top left number. That's going to go on the outside. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a 2 by 2 determinant right beside it. So how do I know which numbers to choose? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line through the top row. And since I chose this number from the first column, I'm going to mark out the first column. So now what am I left with? I'm only left with these 4 numbers right here. A 7, a 0, a -2, and a 6. So that's going to be the first thing that I'll do. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to circle the 4. That's going to be my next number that's on the outside. But I'm going to subtract it. And I only do it for this element. We're always going to subtract in the middle. Now I'm going to have a 2 by 2 inside of these braces. How do I know which 4 elements to choose? Well, I mark out my top row and I mark out my middle row, my middle column, actually. So what am I left with after I do that? Well, I'm going to get rid of this right here because we're actually only supposed to mark out the middle column. So now I'm left with a 1, a 0, a 5, and a 6. So I put those next to the -4. So now the last thing that I need to do is circle the last number in the first row. That's going to be my 3. I'm going to put that on the outside, and I'm going to have 4 numbers on the inside. How do I know which 4 numbers to choose? Well, I mark out my first row, and I mark out my last column. So only those should be marked out, which means I need to erase this right here. There we go. So now, what numbers am I left with? I'm left with a 1, a 7, a 5, and a -2. So I put those right here. Okay, so now I'm ready to do the math. Now, whatever is inside these straight lines right here is what you're going to be finding the determinant of. So I need to bring down my 2 first, and then I'm going to have 7 times 6, 7 times 6, minus 0 times -2. So I'm finding the determinant of this 2 by 2. That's how I do the first one. Next, I move on to the next term, and I bring down my -4 right here. And I do the same thing with this 2 by 2. I find its determinant. 1 times 6, 1 times 6, minus 0 times 5. So that'll take care of that one. I move on to the next term, which is this 3 right here. I'm going to bring down my +3. And then I have to find the determinant of this one. 1 times -2 minus 7 times 5. 7 times 5. So that's what I do. And now I'm going to find the determinant of the first matrix. Now for the first matrix, I have 7 times 6, which is 42. And I have 0 right here, which instantly makes this term 0. So I'm only going to have 42 right here. So I'm going to have my 2 on the outside, but a 42 left on the inside. Now I move on to the next term. I bring down my -4. On the inside, I'm going to have 1 times 6. We know that that's going to be 6. And then since I have the 0 right here, this term is instantly going to get canceled out. So I'm only going to be left with a 6 on the inside. Then I bring down my 3 and I work with the last term. 1 times -2, that's going to be -2. And then -2 minus 7 times 5, that's 35. So then -2 minus 35 is -37. And now I just have to figure out what this is. 2 times 42 is going to give me 84. 4 times 6 is going to give me 24. And it's going to be a -24 because of the negative. And then over here, 3 times -37 is going to give me a negative number. It's going to be -101, 111. So now I just need to figure out what this is. So 84 minus 24, that's going to give me 60. And 60 minus 111, that's going to give me, let's see, -51. So that's my last number, which means that I'm done. So the determinant of a 3x3 tends to be a much longer process to get, but that's only because you have a new row in a new column. So that makes it a 3x3 determinant.